The Baltimore Ravens have had a really good offseason to this point. They brought back some of their own guys. They added some new ones as well. And even with the people that they've lost, they're still a very, very good team. Obviously, the draft is right around the corner, so you're going to add plenty of players there, especially if you got 11 picks. And do not put it past the Baltimore Ravens to use every single one of those 11 picks. Now, of course, not all will make the team, but yeah, the Ravens have done this before. But anyway, there was an underrated loss by the Baltimore Ravens, and it's a player that I honestly had forgotten about. But when I got the reminder, I said, oh, man, because this is still an area that the Baltimore Ravens need significant improvement in my opinion, that could help them be even better. Team, keep it clean. Let's talk about it. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, and leave a like on the video so you can stay up to date with everything going down with our Baltimore Ravens. Steven Sims is somebody who came to the Baltimore Ravens. He came on a bit late, but that's when the Ravens had all their little drama with Deontay Johnson. And then the timing was crazy because Deontay Johnson, the Ravens cut him, and then he ended up signing with the Houston Texans. We were like, whoa. And it was right before the Ravens were getting ready to play the Houston Texans. But the Ravens, they also made a move of their own, and they had signed wide receiver formerly of the Houston Texans, Steven Sims. But they didn't just sign him to be a wide receiver. They signed him to be a punt returner, and he was just that. And when he had the ball in his hands at punt return, he looked good. Now, minus the 2 fumbles that he had. Minus that part, we ain't like that. But outside of that, he was explosive. He was quick. He was shifty. He was fast. But most importantly of all, especially as a punt returner, he was decisive. He made his decisions quick, and he was very, very aggressive too. Like, this dude, did he even call for one fair catch? I don't think he did. I really don't think he did. But with Steven Sims, he gave us somebody where we actually had a shot at returning a punt for a touchdown. I know Tylan Wallace had some experience back then. Obviously, that Rams game, hey, that's one of the best moments ever. So shout out to Tylan Wallace. But Steven Sims, he looked a bit more the part, in my opinion, at punt return than a Tylan Wallace did. So now the Baltimore Ravens are at this spot where they've been at for sort of the past couple of years, sort of just wondering who that punt returner is going to be. Even at kick return, there's still question marks there as well. I know they would have Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell out there at kick returner, but it just seemed like those guys were just like, all right, we got to put somebody back there. They don't really specialize as return men. And then last year at punt return, yeah, obviously it was a mix of Tylan Wallace. It was a mix of Steven Sims. Then in the years prior, it's been Devin Duvernay. And as a punt returner, that's not really his specialty. Then in previous years, too, there have been guys like James Prochet. So punt return for a while now, it has been an underrated area of need for the Baltimore Ravens. But Steven Sims is no longer an option because he went and signed with Baltimore Ravens' previous defensive coordinator, Seattle Seahawks' current head coach, that boy Mike McDonald. So Steven Sims, he's out of there. He's out of there. So the Ravens will continue to look for a new punt returner. Who will it be? We'll see soon. Now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. Let's just get straight into it. First question came from my guy, Trey. He said, defense. What's going on, GOAT? Hope everything is good with you and your family. Appreciate you, my friend. He said, speaking of great, I think I have the answers to make the Ravens defense great again. A lot of Ravens fans will say edge is our biggest need right now, and I don't disagree, but I don't think we should draft edge in the first round. Instead, we should draft safety Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina. He's 6'3", 220, ran a 4.3, and has a 43-inch vert. Oof. That boy, those some statistics right there. Anyway, he said he had 2 pick sixes last year, and he had 1 more, but refs made a terrible call on a return, which took away 93 yards and the points. So, sounds like a playmaker to me. And especially with the whole situation Ravens got going on right now at safety with Darius Washington, a lot of unknowns there. We'll see. Anyway, he said he has amazing footwork, and while he is a safety, he's able to cover slot receivers. Oh, another plus right there. You giving us all the pluses. Are there any negatives at all? He said he can cover slot receivers, big physical receivers, and tight ends just like somebody else I know. That player is Kyle Hamilton, who Emmanwori has stated is one of the players he models his game after. Oh, if you have 11 Kyle Hamiltons on defense, you're not giving up any points, and you're going to be able to cover literally everything. Anyway, he also said that it will be a nightmare for offenses if he was on the Ravens. Kyle Hamilton is the best safety in the league, and although he was elite this past season, I think year 2 Kyle was better because he was moved around. I can't say he was better, but I would say he was just used differently. He was used differently because they literally had him everywhere. Like last year, they had to have a restricted super duper Kyle. They're like, all right, Kyle, we know what you can do, but we can't have you here, there, everywhere because we got to make sure the back end is covered. We got to make sure it's taken care of because them first 10 weeks, it was not taken care of. But anyway, he said, I think drafting Nick would benefit Kyle a lot. Allowing him to move all over the field is a reason our defense was so special in 2023 with Mike McDonald. It's true. Zach Orr can do the same with this move. I'm pretty sure we're all sick and tired of Jamar Chase putting up 1,000 yards and 100 touchdowns every game against the Ravens. You ain't lying, man. He said, so let's get someone who will change the game. Jamar and T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens wouldn't be enough against Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, TJ Tampa, Kyle Hamilton, Darius Washington, and Emin Wari. And now he sent this before we signed Cheeto, so you got to throw him into the mix too. But he said, what do you think? And just like Brandon Stevens finally is when it comes to being a Baltimore Raven, I'm out. Everything you say sounds great. Sounds amazing. Especially just freeing up Kyle Hamilton to just allow him to do more. Now, if he did end up getting a significant role with the Ravens drafted him, of course, and he got that significant role with the Baltimore Ravens, he's gonna have to learn fast. He really is. Because opposing quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks, they're gonna try to throw everything at him. They're gonna try to confuse him, and they're gonna get him sometimes because he'll be a rookie. But then sometimes he is going to get them as well. But he would have such an excellent supporting cast around him that could help make the transition from college to the pros a lot easier for him. And if he's like everything that you said, then sound like a win-win to me. Next question came from my guy Derrick K, and I appreciate you being a patron. He said, hey, Ingraven, one question. Who do you think gave the Ravens the most fits of the Bengals? Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson, TJ Houshmandzadeh, and Chris Henry of the 2000s, or Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Mohamed Sanu, and Marvin Jones of the 2010s, or Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd of the 2020s? I would say one of the first two. It's definitely not Joe Burrow and them, and that ain't no disrespect to them, but Ravens, when Lamar's starting, they've won like 90% of those games against the Bengals. Now, you go back to the Carson Palmer days and the Andy Dalton days with AJ Green, he was so frustrated because he was so good. He was so frustrated, no, man. That's where it got a lot more tricky. And then I feel like it was a lot more back and forth back then. But if you're talking about like the group of players, then yeah, I would say probably Andy Dalton in them. He said, who do you have? He said, LOL, at least Ocho made us laugh when he was cooking us. It was hard to hate on him, and TJ became one of us and caught the game winner against the Steelers in 2010, and AJ Green was quiet, never a showboater or a trash talker at all. Yeah, he was just a straight-up baller. That's it. AJ Green was just a straight-up baller. Now, TJ Houshmandzadeh, yeah, he might have caught that game winner against the Steelers, but he also dropped the fourth down pass right in the chest against the Steelers in that playoff game. And boy, we don't have some heartbreaks, man. And I get it, like playoffs are playoffs. It's only one team that wins the Super Bowl. But the way that we done lost some of these playoffs, it's like, man, and it's never getting whooped. It's never getting whooped. It's never B to B. It's never belts to booties. It's always something close and something dramatic at the very end. And it's like, oh, it's so painful, man. Being a Ravens fan ain't for the weak. It really ain't. He also said, how are you, man? Salutations and blessings to you and the wife, Carter, baby girl, and the dogs, and the rest of you guys, family, and, of course, all the team. Keep it clean as well. Hey, we appreciate that. He said, you know how we're always talking and speculating on what the Ravens are going to do and how they're thinking ahead? Well, I just thought about it, man. What if they've already found their next safety and they're going to pair with Kyle Hamilton? You don't know who it is? I do, and you said it plenty of times. That's right, Marlon Humphrey. Yeah, I have said it will be a nice, smooth transition, but it's too early for that. But anyway, he said, think about it. Why do you think he's not worrying about too much about his contract? because he knows he's a really good player and he going to get taken care of regardless. But anyway, he said, and why do you think he's suggested another corner? Sure, he'll be moved to the slot, but what DB doesn't already do that? You don't have to necessarily be a corner to play in the slot, and he kind of gave it away too. When he said about Kyle Hamilton, the money he'll be making, he's not going to only cover his guy, but my guy too. Oh, I remember when he did say that on Twitter. He said, LOL, sure it was joking, but if you really dive deeper into it, it makes sense. Safeties, especially when back deep, often change whoever they're covering, and of course in zone 2. Think about it. Marlo is a hitter and a tackler, and of course he can cover, and like you said before, the transition will be smooth for him. In addition, I've said this about MP Juice Man, Marcus Peters. He should just bulk up and work on his tackling and transition to free safety. Yeah, I agree. I said the same exact thing too. That if Marcus Peters would have been a really good safety. Obviously, he ain't playing in the league anymore, and he's like 9.9 times out of 10 done in the NFL. But he would have been a really good ball hawk safety because he was so good at that as a corner. Not the best tackler, but catching picks. Oh yeah, that would have been him all day. Now with Marlon Humphrey, like you mentioned, great tackler, good in coverage, but now what he added to his game last year was catching picks, because we know Marlon Humphrey, he would drop a lot of them. But anyway, he said, imagine how many interceptions Juice would have, LOL. But back to the topic on hand, Marlo will be a fantastic safety in the box, deep in the slot, and having to have played cornerback, he could move stride to stride and rotate his hips based on the movement of the wideout he's covering, kind of what like Charles Woodson did by the time he arrived in Green Bay back in 2005. Like Marlo, he was an all-pro cornerback for years with the Raiders. Why not Marlo? I agree with everything you said. I just think it's a little too early. Like, yeah, because we still trying to get our cornerback situation figured out. So I think if when Marlon starts slowing down as a corner, okay, then yeah, easy transition. And I mean, even before he slowed down, like he could do it right now with no problems, in my opinion. And it sounds like in your opinion too. But right now he's good at corner, so just leave him there. You could throw some stuff here and there. You could try some different plays and whatnot, and have him back at safety. Just mix some stuff up. But he's good where he's at for now. And he said, and what if the Ravens and him have already discussed this? They might have. We never know. He said, and Kyle and Marlo have chemistry, and they are close friends as well. So the film room and weight room will be lit. Good point. That's a good point about that chemistry, because that's real right there. Because like if you work with somebody and y'all are friends, usually about 9 times out of 10, the rapport that y'all got together translates to work as well. He said, anywho, what are your thoughts, my brother? P.S. I hope we hear the gong at WrestleMania. He said, LOL, Undertaker. That'd be nice. That's my guy. But as far as Marlon Humphrey, yeah, like I said, it would be great for Marlon Humphrey to be a safety. He would be amazing, and I already know that he would be. And think about it. If more safeties will be Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey, it'd be amazing. But he's still a really, really good corner for now, so let's leave him there.